Hey everyone, it's E. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be covering the Disney Channel original movies, which are based on Disney Channel TV shows. So let's just jump into it. The very first movie that we'll be covering is Kim Possible So the Drama, and I'm covering this first because it is the one I'm doing the fan art for. This video, I decided to draw a little standoff between Shigo and Kim, so hope you enjoy that. So for this one, it's going to be really hard for me to look at this objectively, which I try to do with all of these DCOM reviews, but this movie is super nostalgic for me, but I will try my best. First off, the animation in this movie is excellent. Kim Possible, the TV show, already had good animation, but they definitely stepped it up for this movie. Dr. Draken's plot in this movie is really inventive and more diabolical than usual, which is a great setup for a full-length Kim Possible movie. So basically, if you don't know, Dr. Draken orchestrates a situation for Kim to be distracted by a boy while he is basically buying a controlling share of Bueno Nacho and stealing this Japanese toy design to create an evil robot army that he is disseminating throughout the world in the form of basically Happy Meal toys. And it's really fun and funny, as Kim Possible usually is. The twist at the end of the movie is really great. So basically the boy that Kim has been distracted by is actually a synthetic henchman basically for Dr. Draken. And that's actually pretty unexpected. Obviously I knew that it was coming because I've seen this movie a million times, but when I first watched it, it was not really necessarily something that I was expecting. I think that it was alluded to at the beginning, so it wasn't something that was completely out of nowhere either, which is always good to see. The soundtrack in this movie is great. It features several Jesse McCartney songs, which is awesome, and an original song by Christy Carlson Romano at the end. The only thing that I guess I could say that I wish were different is that I wish that the setup for Kim and Ron getting together at the end of the movie would have been developed a little bit more. It kind of just seems like Ron gets jealous out of nowhere and Kim is rebounding after she realizes that her date is actually a synthetic drone. But that is a small critique. I think if you look at season 3 of Kim Possible on the whole, it also lacks that development, but there are some very, 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 very small, if you squint, moments where you can see that maybe Kim and Ron are developing feelings for each other. So I give the story a 5 out of 5. The enjoyability, I give a 5 out of 5. And the lesson, which is date who you like, not who's popular or cool, gives a 3 out of 5 because they didn't really drive it home enough in my opinion. I'm not giving an acting rating on this one because it doesn't really seem fair to give it a rating. Voice acting is definitely a craft, but it's not the same as when you're having to do everything on screen like the other movies. So for animated movies, I'm not going to give an acting rating. So it's only got the 3 categories for this one. Next up, let's talk about the Kim Possible movie, which came out in 2019, so last year, since we're already talking about Kim Possible movies. And I will just say that this movie is atrocious. And I really hate that. I think that the first, maybe 15 minutes of the movie were really promising. So the movie opens up with Kim and Ron foiling a plot of, what's his name? Dementor? Yeah, the German guy. They're foiling a plot of his, and actually that opening sequence, that opening scene is actually very good, and I think is nostalgic, and it definitely has a Kim Possible feel to it, but then that is completely derailed. For the rest of the movie, it's just bad. Kim does not act like herself for the whole movie. Basically, she spends the whole movie floundering. She's late to class consistently. This is like her first week of high school, and she's just constantly late. She lacks any confidence in any of her normal, self-assured, cool girl vibe. She just doesn't have it. Also, the kid who's playing Ron, I think he actually does a pretty good job playing Ron, and I think that they did a decent job writing him. So he seems like Ron, but I think he's trying just a little bit too hard to imitate Ron's voice from the cartoon. And I also don't like what they did with Mr. Barkin, who is a minor character from the TV show, but they just didn't do that great of a job. However, there are a few good things that I'll mention really quick. The casting that they did off Shigo is really good. So the actress who plays Shigo in this movie seems just like Shigo to me. Her costume is good. And actually, Dr. Draken is not that bad either. There's some similar voice quality, but it doesn't sound like he's trying too hard to sound like the cartoon. I wish that his skin were bluer, of course, and he's just a tad bit too serious and not goofy enough. But he's pretty decent as well. The thing is that, like, with Kim not really acting like herself in this movie, she doesn't do anything cool in the entire movie after that opening sequence. She's just totally lame. I feel like I got ripped off. So I was supposed to be watching a Kim Possible movie, but it's actually a movie about this robot villain girl named Athena. She does all of the cool stuff that Kim would normally be doing. So it seems like it's not a Kim Possible movie, but an Athena movie. And Athena is not even a character who ever appeared in the cartoon, so she's totally original to this movie. So it reads like bad fan fiction, like somebody wrote an original character for Kim Possible and basically crafted a whole story around her. And the story is not really about Kim. Even the ending of the movie, Kim doesn't really do the final heroic act, Athena does. And the thing is, at the end of the movie, Kim feels guilty about having treated Athena poorly, but Athena, it turned out to be a robot who was created to be evil. So I don't understand why Kim cares about Athena at all. I mean, I don't care about Athena at all. And also, at the end of the movie, Draken becomes like a small child, and that really doesn't make any sense either. That was just kind of random, and I feel like they only did that so that they could leave themselves open to the possibility of making a sequel for this, which I really sincerely hope they don't do, because I don't really want to watch another attempt at them making a live-action Kim Possible movie. The whole ending was awful. Like I said, Ron was okay, and Rufus was actually 100% accurate. So, let's see. The story I give a 1 out of 5. The acting gets a 3 out of 5. The lesson I give a 2 out of 5. The lesson was to be a good friend, and also what you do is not who you are. I think that those are good messages, but they're very, very, very poorly executed, and the enjoyability only gets a 2 out of 5. So those are the 2 Kim Possible Disney Channel original movies. If you remember Kim Possible A Stitch in Time, that was also originally pitched as a movie, but it's not an official Disney Channel original movie. But if I would have talked about that, I would have given that movie high ranks as well, like the other animated one. But no more live action remakes, please. Next up, let's talk about Jett Jackson, the movie. Now, this movie is not on Disney Plus, and neither is the TV show that it's based on. I think that this TV show and movie originated in Canada, which may be why I was not really familiar with it at all. My husband remembered Jett Jackson, the TV show and the movie, but I had no memory of this. But I will say, if you've never seen Jett Jackson, the TV show, it's not going to detract from your ability to watch and enjoy this movie. I think that the opening scene in this movie is pretty exciting. There's like an explosion, which is pretty cool. There's some decent effects in this movie, like the shapeshift effect that they used for like the villain in this movie, the evil Dr. Crag, was really good as well. I think that the movie overall feels kind of slow, even though there's kind of a lot going on. So in case you don't know, Jett Jackson, the TV show, is about this kid who's an actor in a like action TV show, kind of like 24, I guess, and he plays this kid named Silverstone. But in this movie, he's trying to decide whether or not he wants to basically renew his contract to make like 3 more seasons of the Silverstone TV show. Well, in this movie, what happens is like this magical thing occurs, and he switches place with Silverstone, his character in the TV show. So he gets transported into the world of the TV show, and Silverstone gets transported into the real world, and they're kind of having to like live each other's lives. So you'd think that'd be pretty exciting, and there'd be a lot going on, and there is. It's just, I don't know why, it just feels kind of slow. It's funny too, because Jett and Silverstone both accept that they've been transported into each other's worlds pretty quickly once they realize that that's what happened. It's like, did they not care that they've been transported into another world? And they have no sense of urgency of like, I need to get back, which is what my immediate thought would be. I think that the idea of the movie is really cheesy, but it's actually incredibly well done. So like while you're watching it, you're not thinking this is stupid, even though the concept is kind of dumb. Like it feels like they really like cared about the movie and wanted to make it good, and so it doesn't come across as goofy as it should. I feel like the ending of the movie fell a little flat because Jett winds up choosing to continue the TV show, even though it's wreaked havoc on his personal life. and like his own like work-life balance. I would have liked to see Jett choose his own peace and happiness over the TV show, but it makes sense following the events of the movie that he would feel an attachment to Silverstone and thus decide to continue the TV show. I give the story a 3 out of 5, the acting gets a 4 out of 5, the lesson gets a 2 out of 5, and the enjoyability gets a 3 out of 5. Next up, let's talk about the Proud Family movie. This movie is so bizarre on so many levels, but the story, as odd as it is, actually makes sense with no real plot holes to comment on. So basically, this evil guy wants to take this formula for a snack that Oscar has created to create this evil peanut army. What I'm saying sounds stupid and makes no sense, but you would kind of just have to watch the movie to understand what I'm talking about. Anyway, he tricks the Proud family into going on vacation so that he can orchestrate the situation. I think that there is one continuity error. At one point, and this is toward the beginning of the movie, Penny leaves the house to go to this dance audition, and when she sneaks out of the house to do that, her dad is home. But when 15 Cent, who is like this like teenage heartthrob musical celebrity, he's at the dance audition, he drops her off at her house. Afterward, Oscar, her dad, is seemingly coming home from his rejection at this snack club, which was a whole scene before. So I think it's a slight continuity error. You could easily dismiss it and say that Oscar came home after he was rejected, Penny snuck out, then Oscar left the house, and then they both came back at the same time. But that's not really the way that the situation is framed. He's acting like he's upset from like his little rejection at the snack club that happened earlier. Otherwise, the movie is like super funny, and I laughed basically the whole time. It has all of the charm of the TV show in one movie. Is it a good movie? No, but it is fun. So I give the story a 3 out of 5. The acting, it's animated, so I'm not giving it a rating for that. The lesson gets a 5 out of 5, which is love your family as they are, and the enjoyability gets a 4 out of 5. Alright, next up is the Even Stevens movie review. I actually think that it's a pretty inventive plot. It's funny because this is also a vacation movie, which you'll see is a theme for Disney Channel original movies based on TV shows. So the Stevens family gets tricked into going on a all expenses paid vacation to this island, which is actually a set for a reality TV show where like they're basically setting up one thing to go wrong after the other to see how the Stevens family like fight with each other and all this kind of stuff. They're basically getting exploited, and like it was really way over the top in its humor, just like the TV show was. Shia LaBeouf, who plays Lewis, is true to form and is, you know, just giving a hilarious performance all throughout. The thing is, it's funny is that like Shia LaBeouf, maybe you don't think of him as a super serious actor because he's known for Even Stevens and the Transformer movies, but he was really talented, especially as a kid, like as a comedic actor, and he was really good in this movie. The actual TV show that they're on doesn't make a ton of sense because like the reality show is live, so like they're airing the episodes live. So, like, is it on 24/7? Because, or if they just, it's like, oh, we're live, now we need to set up this, you know, situation for them to stumble into. It's kind of like, they would surely miss stuff if, you know, they had to try to pack all of the drama into an hour block of live TV. So, that doesn't really make a ton of sense, but it's necessary to the plot, even though it's not logical, because Twitty and Tawny get remorseful while watching live, because Twitty, which is Lewis's friend, is the one who set them up to go on this reality TV show. Ren has a love story with one of the actors on the set, which I think is a marginal love story, but it's kind of sweet at the end when Lewis and Ren hug and he gives her a kiss on the cheek, as, you know, is kind of like he helps Ren with her love interest at the end. Because obviously at the end of the movie they realize that they're being played and they basically turn it on the producer of the TV show, and basically it's a really funny and well-suited ending to the movie. Most of the effects are not great, but the movie overall is pretty fun. The story gets a 3 out of 5, the acting gets a 5 out of 5, the lesson, which is, about family again, gets a 4 out of 5, and the enjoyability gets a 5 out of 5. Alright, next up, let's talk about the Phineas and Ferb Across the Second Dimension movie. This has really good humor and quality animation. I've never really watched Phineas and Ferb that much. Like, I've seen episodes of it, obviously, but I have not, seen the whole show. But this movie was really good and kind of makes me want to go watch the TV show, which I think is a pretty good, indication of the quality of the movie. The songs in this movie are fun as well, and they're really funny. The movie is pretty fast-paced, which I love. It's a very fun and imaginative plot, and the ending is pretty touching, considering how otherwise silly the whole movie is. So basically, in this movie is when Phineas and Ferb finally realize that Perry, their pet platypus, is also a secret agent, and that they're basically Perry's cover story. They're his secret identity. And then, hilarity ensues, and, there's an alternate dimension where Doofenshmirtz, who is the villain in their dimension, is actually a successful villain, and so they have to fight the actually competent Doofenshmirtz from the evil dimension and keep him from corrupting their dimension. It's pretty complicated, but they tell the story well, so it's not confusing or anything like that. These are kids' movies, so none of them are real head scratchers and confusing, but sometimes if you're not paying that close of attention, you can be like, huh, what's going on? But they do a good job with this one. It's kind of sad at the end of the movie, Phineas and Ferb don't get to remember the adventure that they had, but Perry does get to remember it, so that's kind of cool. There's not a lot to say about this movie other than it's good, and I would watch it again, even as someone who's never watched a ton of Phineas and Ferb. So the story I give a 5 out of 5, the songs get a 4 out of 5, the enjoyability gets a 5 out of 5. The lesson, I'm not going to give a rating for that, because it's just fun. Okay, the next movie we're going to talk about is Tangled Before Ever After. This is branded as a Disney Channel original movie, but it's really not a full feature-length film. It's less than an hour long, and it really, if anything, it's just like a pilot for the TV show that is based on the Tangled movie. And I gotta say, pretty much right off the start, I'm hesitant to like this because the big dramatic ending of Tangled, the theatrical release movie, is when Eugene, aka Flynn Rider, chops off all of Rapunzel's hair, and she's got a cute little brown bob. That's the whole climax of the movie. That's the climax of the movie, and it's Rapunzel's sacrifice or whatever. And that's the method by which she gets free from Mother Gothel. Well, basically, this movie retcons that, undoes it, and Rapunzel magically gets her hair to grow back. And part of it is it's totally unexplained in this movie, and I think the purpose for that is that they're going to explore how her hair grew back and how exactly that magic happened in the TV show, but I've not seen the TV show, so I feel like we're getting kind of an incomplete story here. The art and animation is really good, but like I said, I think that this is kind of unnecessary to have a spin-off series. Part of the conflict in this movie is that Rapunzel rejects Eugene's marriage proposal, and it's a very uncomfortable conflict. And then there's a scene where Eugene is telling her how he feels, only to find out that she wasn't there. It was just Pascal basically operating a mannequin behind a screen. And so I don't know, it's the one scene where we really get to see Eugene pour his heart out. It's kind of pointless. There's a song which is, I guess it's called Wind in My Hair or something like that. I don't know, but it's actually a really good song. But yeah, basically the ending is not very satisfying at all of this movie. And like I said, the reason for that is because it's a pilot for a TV show that's going to have a continuous plot. But just as a standalone movie, bleh. I give the story a 2 out of 5. The lesson gets a 2 out of 5. The lesson is plus est en vous, which means there's more in you, which that lesson is really not conveyed very well, and the enjoyability only gets a 2 out of 5 as well. Next up is the Sweet Life movie, which is based on the Sweet Life on Deck. Now, I watched a lot of Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. I would be surprised if I haven't seen every single episode of the original series, but I did not watch that much of the spinoff Sweet Life on Deck. But I never really remembered Cody being so irritating and irritable in the original show, I feel like their dynamic, the dynamic between Zach and Cody in this movie is totally off from the way I remembered them. Like, in the original series, they were best friends and, like, partners in crime. And yeah, Cody was usually the more hesitant and nervous one, while Zach was more gung-ho. But still, they were usually in on their little plots together. Whereas in this movie, it just seems like Zach is a total incompetent, irresponsible buffoon, and Cody is a total wet blanket, just jerk, basically. A totally unlikable person. There's like these scenes with Bailey in London, and this other weird kid who I don't know, because like I said, I've never really watched The Sweet Life on Deck. And those little scenes are stupid and pointless, and basically they're a distraction from the main plot, which is also stupid. The plot of this movie unfortunately relies on London being able to communicate with dolphins, which is stupid. The whole ending was ridiculous, stupid, and far-fetched, which is the natural conclusion to a goofy, far-fetched story. And like I said, it's disappointing because I feel like the TV shows were mostly rooted in reality. Like, obviously there's outrageous moments in The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, but there's not, like, really bad fake science and, like, magic like there basically is in this movie. So it's about this evil villain twin guy who wants to basically use this magic fruit that can connect twins on a mental, emotional, and physical level, and use that ability to, like, make a twin army, kind of, I guess. And if that sounds dumb to you, it is dumb. It's just as stupid as it sounds. The moments of niceness and, like, camaraderie between Zach and Cody in this movie are sweet, but they're immediately undercut by, like, the next scene where they're fighting and biting each other's heads off again. So the characterization throughout this movie was weak and all over the place. And I feel like they each said things that seemed out of character on multiple occasions. So Cody said lines that sound like they would be more suited to be said by Zach, and vice versa. Anyway, I give the story a 2 out of 5, the acting gets a 3 out of 5, the lesson gets a 4 out of 5, which is about embracing differences and empathy, so it's a good lesson, and the enjoyability just gets a 2 out of 5. Okie doke, the Wizards of Waverly Place movie. This one's a little bit better than the Sweet Life movie, but there's still some issues. There's, like, this guy who has this parrot, and it turns out that they were wizards themselves. The parrot was a woman who got turned into a parrot, and there's this weird romance going on between the two of them. They basically want to help Alex and Justin and Max find this magical wizard stone to undo a spell that Alex does, where she wishes that her parents never met. They are on vacation in the Caribbean, so it's very convenient that this magical stone happens to be in the same location where they're vacationing, but whatever. Alex's outfit throughout this movie is absolutely atrocious. She's wearing cowboy boots with Bermuda shorts and a belt over her shirt. And, like, unfortunately, that is the outfit that she wears for the majority of the movie. So, like, it's kind of like, no matter how much you're enjoying the movie, like, you have to look at her wearing that, and it's repulsive. There's this bonding moment between Alex and Justin by this fire, which was pretty touching, and it's, like, while they're on their journey to find the magic stone to reverse the spell. The ending resets everything, as is common in DCOMs, and it's not as upsetting as it usually is when that happens, because basically when they finally get the stone, they use it to undo the spell, and Alex wishes everything was back to the way it was before, basically at the beginning of the vacation. And I normally would hate that, but Justin, Alex, and Max all remember everything that happened, so it's really only their parents that don't remember what occurred. Also, so basically right before Alex gets the stone, it turned out that the guy and the parrot stole the stone from them. So, like, they're trying to come up with another way to undo the spell, and her dad, who, again, doesn't really realize he's their dad because she wished that her parents had never met, he kind of believes that he's their dad, and her mom kind of believes that she's their mom, so he recommends that they do the wizard duel or whatever to determine who's going to get all of the family magic, which is basically part of the plot of the TV show, if you didn't know. So, they get transported into this other place, and they do a wizard duel, and Alex wins the wizard duel, but she doesn't remember how to undo Like, she doesn't know how to undo the spell. Justin would have known, but she didn't know. But I don't understand, because their dad says, like, he's a fully realized wizard in this alternate universe, because he never met their mom and had to give up his powers. But he gives some lame excuse that he can't undo the spell and that one of them has to do it. But it's never really explained why he can't. And I feel like that's kind of lame. Anyway, for that reason, the story gets a 3 out of 5. The acting gets a 4 out of 5. The lesson gets a 4 out of 5, which is appreciate your family and don't take them for granted. Kind of a common decom theme. And the enjoyability gets a 4 out of 5. Okie doke, the final Disney Channel original movie based on a Disney Channel TV show that we're going to be discussing in this video is Good Luck Charlie, It's Christmas. I have seen several episodes of Good Luck Charlie, but I have not seen them all, and I haven't reached the point in the TV show where this movie would slot in canonically. But I plan to. I actually am kind of in the middle of watching through Good Luck Charlie, but obviously it's taken a spot in the back burner while I'm devoting my time to watching all of the Disney Channel original movies, so I will get back to that eventually. But Good Luck Charlie is a good TV show. The movie is not as impressive. So basically, it's one of those movies where everything goes wrong, one thing right after the next, and you never really get any relief. So basically, Teddy wants to go on a spring break vacation with her best friend, and her mom says no, and then her dad says if you can get the money for the plane ticket, you can go. They're about to fly to Palm Springs, California to spend the Christmas holiday with her grandparents, and they've overbooked a flight, and they offer a free round trip ticket to anybody who will give up their seat on the plane. So Teddy volunteers, and her mom won't let her go alone, so she also gets off the plane, and then they find out that the next plane out is not going to be for 3 days, which would put them getting there after Christmas, so they have to come up with another way to get to Palm Springs, California, and a bunch of shenanigans ensue. Meanwhile, in Palm Springs, California, her dad and brothers and her little sister Charlie are dealing with their grandparents and whatever. I feel like the mom, Amy, in this movie, she kind of overacted everything, but in the movie, this is kind of a spoiler, I guess, she was pregnant, so I guess that's kind of the joke, like that's why she does everything so over the top, but I don't know. And then at the end of the movie, like they're almost there to Palm Springs, and so the guys decide that they're going to drive out to meet them and pick them up. But on the way, they get caught up in this little paintball tournament thing, and it was really kind of stupid and a little far-fetched. I mean, it was realistic, like it's something that could happen in the real world, but it was kind of over the top, and it seemed like a waste of time. Like, it was a stupid little thing, basically, just to make the runtime of the movie a little bit longer. The bonding between Teddy and her mom was sweet, but I wasn't that impressed, because I think on the TV show they generally get along, so it wasn't exactly groundbreaking. The story, I give a 2 out of 5, the acting gets a 3 out of 5, the lesson gets a 2 out of 5, and the enjoyability gets a 3 out of 5. And that's basically it for this video. I believe I've covered all of the Disney Channel original movies based on TV shows. Most of them are not that great, but some of them are pretty good. And especially So the Drama, which is what I drew the fan art for, I would recommend watching, especially if you're a Kim Possible fan. It's like recommended viewing. If you like Kim Possible, you've probably already seen it 5 times too. But I will see you in an upcoming video. I want to mention briefly, there is a new Disney Channel original movie coming out on July 31st called Upside Down Magic. Now, when I started out on this series, I knew that there was another DCOM that was going to be released this year, but I didn't know when. All of the stuff I saw just said 2020 vaguely. And so now that I know it's coming out on July 31st, I'm going to try to work it into a later video. I'm going to try and watch it and work it into a later video. But honestly, I don't know, whatever video it's in, it may not fit the theme of that video, because obviously I didn't have time to really plan where that movie would be going. So just keep that in mind and be gracious to me if it winds up in a video that's totally unrelated. But anyway, thanks so much for watching and have a great day. Bye!